Everyone needs a logo to identify their work. If they're a craftsman or anyone who makes things to sell, or just wanting to identify work you've done. Rubber stamps come in handy for a number of items. Here's what the impression looks like from the rubber stamp I made, and here's the rubber stamp, and I'll show you how I made it and in this video. In another video, this is another type of another way to show your logo. I made a branding iron, and this is for branding into wood or leather, and here's what it looks like, the impression. I used an old brass bolt, just scrap materials I had in the shop. This video though, I will show you how I made the rubber stamp, and it's not perfect, but it works for me, so stay tuned. This is what my logo looks like. I have a smaller print version right here, and these are the things we're going to need in order to make my rubber stamp. I'm going to need a backing, a little piece of wood as a backer. I'm going to use some material. It's a rubberized material for making the stamp. This is called Speedy Carve, and it's made by Speedball, that's the company. They also make this other material, which is also rubbery in texture, for making stamps, and I forget what they call this, but this particular material, you see the white stuff, this is much softer. It's a lot easier to carve than the pink material, but this material, while it's easier to carve, it's also very crumbly. It won't last as long when you make your stamp. This takes a little bit more effort. It's not as easy to carve, but you get cleaner lines and it will last much longer. So we need those. You'll also need a gouge. This too is also a product put out by Speedball, and the handle opens up, and there's a variety of tips in the handle, and some are wider, some are deeper gouges. There's a variety that you can choose from. And while it does have a straight cut bit, if I choose to use that, I also have an X-Acto knife. Sometimes it's a little easier to have an X-Acto knife. So this is all I need, plus some glue. I'm going to need some glue. In this case I'm using Rapid Fuse. A lot of people, made by DAP, a lot of people just use super glue. I just finished tracing the outlines of the inner parts that I have to carve out on my logo. Now, and the reason why I did it this way, and I now have to cut out the outside and put it down there, is that this template, this paper, is just so wimpy that if I had cut this out I wouldn't have much to hold on to and to hold down, and it would be all over the place. So I've done that part. Now I just want to get the outer ring, so now I'll cut that out, and instead of using the X-Acto knife, seeing how it's just round, I'll just use the scissors, which will be faster. A big shout out goes to Emily Ashby. She's the young lady who ran a class last winter at the Women's Health Resource Library in Millbridge, evening class, and she's a local artisan, and she taught me how to make these rubber stamps. It was 2 or 3 nights of classes where we made these rubber stamps different kinds and with different materials. She also taught us how to make linoleum blocks for linoleum block prints, and how to reproduce them, and how to use stamps to make cards with. And it was a very nice class, and she did a super job. She covered all the bases, and it was a wonderful class. So if you're watching this video, Emily, I want to thank you very much. All the materials that I went over with you, you can buy these at most of all these big box stores that carry art supplies, and even the smaller mom and pops. Almost everybody has them, and you can get them online. But anyway, here's my logo, the outline, and what I want to carve away. I want to carve away the outside right here. I want to carve that away. I want to carve away the inside pieces right in here that you see. And when those are carved out, the idea is I just want to carve away enough material, and once you get it in, you'll see how this one here has a little bit of it's a bit of a V groove, but it's not as narrow as the one I had in there. I want that facing away from my image, and I'm just going to start carving away here. I don't need to carve that much material away at first. I don't have to go too deep, but I want to get all around the image, and then I also want to get this whole outer area, because I don't want that to show when I'm stamping. I finished carving away around the outside, about as much as I think will be necessary. I don't have to be finished with that yet, but at this point I'm ready to start on the inside. I've switched to this very, very narrow little V-gouge for more intricate work. This does take a little bit of time. You have to have patience. If you're trying to rush it, you're going to mess it up. And I mean, you could always pay a company to do this. There are companies that do it for a reasonable price, or if it's something special, the local artist that does these could do it for you. But if you have the time and you have the patience, you can do this yourself. Now I can see little areas that need to be cleaned up, and when I look here, you can see areas that have a little bit of ink on them, and I can trim that away, and I can clean it up and make it look just a little bit crisper than that. But that, for my logo, just having my logo on something, that's pretty much close enough. I think I'm happy with that. Beyond just doing a little bit of cleanup where it's a little bit fuzzy, I'll just trim away a little bit more. I'm going to put some ink on here, and I'm going to put it right on the back of my wood block. See, that way there, when I glue this on, and I have other stamps, I know which stamp that is just by looking at it. Here's my stamp. I washed it, cleaned it up a little bit. It's not perfect. I think I might need a little bit more practice. We'll try a different ink. We'll see how that works. I think I need to put more ink in there, pad. There we go. Yeah, it's not a perfect stamp, but it gets the point across. It shows the logo. And I think I'm just gonna, I might just call it good. I put enough ink on there. I haven't, a little bit too light. So there you have it. That's my stamp. I'll wash that again. I don't want to leave the ink on it. And I can identify it. And that's all there is to it.